All right. So I'm going to pretend that I was recording the first time, but I wasn't. So I'm going to pretend I'm not as dopey as I sound.
There you go.
So now I have to tell the whole story again about how we met on an airplane
Okay.
in Mexico, something like 10 years ago,
Hmm.
because you were building an extremely cool house. I was in a photography workshop, photographing naked people and stuff like that. And yeah, I forgot to tell you that part, right?
Darn. Darn.
Naked models for my workshop. And
Oh,
you were still building your house in San Miguel de Allende, which I still haven't seen. I actually wanted to go there for my 50th birthday. That fantasy didn't happen, but and now your amazing house has been turned into some kind of luxury hotel or some like
yeah. It's a
best of the best. What's it called?
Hotel Casa Adela, and he killed it. In 1 year, he got it to be in the top 100 in the world. How did he do that?
And you had it for 10 years and you're like, I can't even Airbnb this.
No, we couldn't. We couldn't Airbnb it, and he takes it over. And literally, from 3 months after he started it, he was in the top 100 hotels in 2019. I don't know how Eric did it, but Hotel Casa Adela is a cool place, and there's a great website. So,
All right. So we'll like when I figure out how to do this thing properly, there'll be like links and
oh,
you
good.
know, my son's gonna make little cool graphics and we're gonna promote your hotel, except I don't want anyone to know because I want to be able to go there.
You can go there. You can
And
go there.
it only has what, like 8
Like
rooms?
7, 8 rooms, yeah,
7,
basically.
8 rooms. It looks, I mean, every time I send a picture of that place to someone, they just are like, what is this paradise? And I mean, San Miguel is such a paradise anyway, but that house, it's like,
Well, once in a while you actually do something amazing. Like, even a broken clock is right 2 times a day. So,
so, and the other thing that I think is funny about how we originally met is, we were talking about, you were talking about architecture and construction, and I guess you worked with Chris Clark, is that right?
yep. Yeah.
At Clark Construction, and that was like, I was familiar with it and I saw the projects you were doing, and then it turns out that some of the people whose houses you were working in were the same people whose things I was photographing, and there was like all this weird crossover. But like I said in the clip we didn't record, I still remember that you said, so is that a living? About like photography of fancy weddings and people around the world and whatever.
I must have been survival obsessed at the time because I was on my way out the door. So,
But honestly, and I remember your super cool loft in Tribeca,
that was.
which, wait, that was just on some movie set too. Where did you post it?
That movie was a long time ago. That was the 3 generations of the Douglas family shot that movie in there. It was called All in the Family or something like that, or something, I forget. I should remember these things. And it was great. It was great. I got to like watch the Michael Douglas family do crazy shit. So it's good. It was great.
And so, yeah, do you regret selling that loft? I mean, I suppose you don't want to be stuck in New York right now. That's for sure.
I really like living on a farm in upstate New York. I really do.
Yeah.
There's different times in your life where different things are right, and this is amazing. I spent 29 years in New York City, and it's just, on the way out the door, it wasn't the same city that I entered it, and it reinvented itself 7 times in the 29 years I was there. So we have things to do up here,
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I think that what you moved into when you moved out of the construction and started doing the furniture, I think you had maybe,
Oh yeah.
had you just started the furniture when you were doing the house in
I
Mexico?
started the house in 2000. I started the furniture in 2003, and the furniture is so much more enjoyable.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's another link we have to put and like promote the heck out of your unbelievable furniture. So remember when I had the tree that I had to cut down and I called you and I'm like, John, I have a tree if you need it. And because you have, what did you say? You have like a big bandsaw, or what kind of saw is it?
Yeah, we have a big portable bandsaw mill, which
On a truck, right?
yeah, we could have driven it to you, so.
Right. But the thing is, you take these giant living things and turn them, because of your like brilliant creative architecture mind, you're like, mixing glass with a tree, but you're using the live edge, and then you do all these crazy beautiful hotel installations that I've seen they're just mind-blowing. You're like art meets architecture meets furniture.
I'm like a person who stays up too late and dreams too much. So
that's just part of it. That's like the fun part. So yeah, we'll add your what is it? It's just John Houshmand.
It's just johnhoushmand.com. Yeah.
Okay. So if you're lucky enough to see his furniture and afford his furniture, then you're lucky. Because it's amazing. And then because you've invented yourself as many times as New York, then you have this whole musical thing going on.
Absolutely.
Living at your farm.
Absolutely.
Growing hemp, which is, so you were just saying, I think when I discovered I didn't record this, you were just saying what happened?
It's a funny thing. I mean, everybody got in the game, everybody grew hemp, and then there was too much hemp. And then they changed regulations and everything got crazy. And now everybody's scratching their head trying to figure out how do we do this? You know, I mean, it went from being the gold rush to a commodity to a over subscribed commodity. So I don't know. It's something that needs to be watched because they're trying to figure out how to make this work. And farmers need this right now. So.
Right. Well, the farmers out here are going like crazy. I mean, like farmers are everything right now in the Hamptons.
I can imagine.
Because they're doing like direct delivery of food to everyone. I mean, one of the local farms is making soup nonstop.
Yeah, I love it, actually. This is the way things should be. And
right?
This reset, I know it's crazy and cacophonous, but let's see how the reset fares by the time we've done our reset, you know?
Yeah. So, okay, so you're on the farm with Zara, who's now, what, 11, 10?
No, she'll be 10 in May.
10 in May, wow.
Yeah.
Might be having a solo party.
Yeah, she might. or in June. She'll have her birthday in June. You never know, you know?
Yeah.
But she's loving this. She doesn't like to go out, so quarantine serves her well. So, you know, let's go to the store. No, I'm staying here. You go. Okay, whatever.
Really? So she sends out dad like
with a list.
Okay. Is it a healthy list?
Yeah, it is. She dreams up some weird stuff. She wants to learn how to shave her legs, and I'm like, I don't think that's my job. Do I really have to do this? This is my job.
Oh my gosh. Everyone else is like, I mean, my son just said, oh, I'm going to start growing my hair really long. I'm just going to let it go. And I was like, okay. He said, you won't recognize me when this is over.
Well, it depends how long this is going to go. I mean, hair doesn't go that fast. We'll see. And also, it's going to grow whether he wants it to grow or not. So there he goes. You know.
Right, but he's not going to go out and get it cut, and he's certainly he's not going to apply his razor to his head, I don't think. But
that's good.
That's good. Although I have another friend who's a makeup artist, and she just posted that her husband just shaved all his hair off yesterday on his head.
Well, people do that in crisis. You know, I've seen that many times. I'm not going there because it's happening automatically. So.
So do you and Zara sit around and play music during the day, or what do you do all day?
No, she's very creative and she cooks a lot, and she dances, or she plays piano, and she's really obsessive about projects. She 2 nights last week, I woke up at 2 in the morning and came downstairs, and she was actually, she was baking a cake.
At 2 in the morning?
Yeah, from scratch, without me knowing it, using the stove, using the oven, using melting butter. And this is a 10-year-old in May, and I'm impressed, and I'm also freaked out at the same time. But, you know, so shaving legs, and she wants to do a Japanese shadow puppet show, the wayang kulit. I don't know if you know that. We have some Japanese. We have some of the puppets here, the leather flats, and we've watched some videos. So she wants to set up the 2 things on the list are wayang kulit and shave my legs. So help.
We all have our quarantine buddies, and that's yours.
Exactly. Our QBs, our quarantine buddies.
Yeah, you got an interesting one.
Yeah, no, it's good here. Very good.
That's awesome.
Cool.
So you want to play a little song?
Yeah, I'll try something. I'm not so sure if this will work. We've never done this before, but let's give it a shot and see how it sounds.
See what you got.
Okay, here we go.
This is our first segment.
virtual crowd.
I know, right?
That was fun.
That
I mean,
was
that was
fun. I was
interesting.
just
I
thinking,
don't
you
know.
know, I should have had Zara hold it for you because she probably would have helped the sound thing.
Just by proximity.
Well, no, by like there's some kind of reverberation thing going on.
Oh, really?
I think so. I don't know if you were on a metal surface or near one or but we're gonna have to have her make you do more. She's gonna be your film tech, and yeah, and she's gonna film for you while you play, so that you can post more of your music. And by the end of all this, you'll have an album.
Well, actually, that was the idea. When this,
Seriously?
well, just when this all happened, there was so much time at home, and I just got this iPad and started setting it up. It takes some time to figure out the technicals of it,
Yeah.
but I just thought, let's spend these 3 weeks getting all the stuff down and archived. I don't know how it sounded at your end, but hopefully it was clear enough.
It was a little reverby, and you froze at 1 second, but it still sounded really good. And I think that like all you have to do is perfect because I'm totally working this out as I go. My last call, I called my art teacher from kindergarten, and that was quite awesome. And she couldn't figure out Zoom, so we ended up doing a FaceTime call, and I held my phone like this, and we were both talking into I was like, oh, well, I mean, you'd think that I know technology more, but I know some of it, and I'm just MacGyvering the rest of it.
Well, and different platforms are optimized in different ways. Like something that very few people use is FaceTime audio. And if you're calling on a digital connection, everything else is lousy compared to FaceTime audio. FaceTime audio is crystal clear for some reason.
Really?
I don't know if this FaceTime would be a good way to do this, but
well, I don't know how to record it, so that's my
that's
my
true.
limitation, because I just decided that these would all be kind of one-on-one phone calls.
Yeah.
Although I want to say that I'm fantasizing about having a surprise for a friend of mine and having like 10 people on the call when she gets here. But that
would be great if they're all mosaiced on the screen. That would be fantastic.
Right. Well, that's my plan, but I don't want to say any more because then it won't be a surprise, right?
Exactly. Cool.
But I was thinking you should walk me. Don't you? You must have some furniture in your house that's your furniture, right?
Not really. I get all the throwaways. This is broken. I don't.
You're the shoemaker's kids, right?
Yeah, totally.
I have no photos either.
I mean, I have some really choice IKEA stuff in this farmhouse. So.
Oh my God, that's so embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. It's fun.
So you're like the furniture genius with a house full of IKEA.
Yeah, these things need to change. Maybe that's part of the reset. Part of the reset is every one of us will find our silver bullet in ways that we haven't found it yet, and one of them would be bringing my stuff home. So that would be nice.
Is it at the warehouse right now?
No, the factory's it's 2 miles away. It's everything up here is close. It's 950 acres, but we're on the main farm, and then the factory's 2 miles down the road at another farm, and then the other farm is 4 miles in the other direction. So, going from thing to thing I do is just kind of going up and down the valley, but all that stuff is over there. And usually you make this stuff and it goes out the door. You take archival photographs and goes on the website, and you never see it again. It's like your children are born and grow up and leave home in 3 months.
Wow. And so so you have the photos that you make of it. Do people send you photos of their things?
Sometimes you get pictures in situ, which is nice, or, things like the Nobu downtown. That was great. I can just drop in and take pictures, or friends will be somewhere. I mean, I have a friend in Honolulu who we did an amazing project there. And, every 6 months I get a picture of, here's your sculpture, so. Where
is it? What is it?
It's at a Marriott. It's the Marriott Waikiki, and it's a 100-foot long by 20-foot high carved wall. It's some serious stuff. It really is.
Wow.
Yeah, it's on our website under architectural. I'll send you the link. It's pretty cool.
Okay. And the Nobu, is that the one that was the sculpture from above?
Yeah, that's the Japanese,
like the
Japanese brush. floating above everybody's heads. Yeah.
Oh, that one's amazing. And then
Yeah.
you did something that was like I want to say it was a bar.
We've done a lot of bars.
Actual
We
bar.
did Nobu on 57th Street. We did that whole bar and all that. The most of the big amazing stuff on Nobu and 57th Street was ours. The bar, the sake tower, all of these, reception desks and everything.
Wow.
I mean, it's fun. They, we get some great plum projects. So.
Is that from your sort of contacts from your construction days, or just word of
No,
mouth? Or do you even know?
not really. I think what happened was in 2003, when we really sort of landed, no one was doing live edge furniture. And we pretty much were the first people in the door. And as a result, and we were doing it very, very well. And so we got all the serious accolades. I mean, in 2005, they took one of my tables to the World's Fair in the American Pavilion in Edo, Japan. I mean, we'd been in business 2 years. And what was his name? Clear Eye for the Straight Guy. What was his name? He did the TV show. You know who I'm talking about. Anyway, he curated the American Pavilion at the World's Fair. And it was, significantly important.
Burkus?
Who?
Was it Nate Burkus?
No, it escapes me now. But when it comes to us, we'll both say, "Oh, that's the guy."
Right.
But that was amazing to get into the World's Fair 2 years into starting, off a company. So,
Wow.
First through the door, it was good.
And I remember you saying you were here in the summer playing at a thing for the Hamptons.
Oh yeah.
What was that?
That was the fundraiser that they have at the Longhouse Reserve every year.
Right.
Jack Larson was one of my first supporters. I mean, we were literally 1 year in business, and the doorbell rang in my loft, and Jack walked in, introduced himself, and said, "I love your work." And we've been friends ever since. And then I've made pieces for the Longhouse Museum, their sculpture garden. And that band I have, Soundwall, we get invited to play, every couple of years we go do some significantly fun thing for them, which is great. It's really great.
He is such a visionary. I mean, I think Longhouse is just such a beautiful place out here.
He's something.
Were they honoring, it was about textile? I know that they honored Donna Karan and I want to say like Isaac Mizrahi or something.
Yeah, every fundraiser they honor 2, sometimes 3 people of significance, and they could be in fashion, they could be in arts, they could be in different disciplines, and they do such an amazing job of it, and it's a real love fest. So you were there. It was a really funny one this last year. It
was funny. Well, it's funny because I kind of snuck in. Like I totally just said, I'm with the band. And then I snuck in and I took a bunch of photos and I wandered around and I caught like Donna Karan going to take some photos next to it was a sculptor that they were honoring. I want to say Richard Serra, but I don't think it was him. Boy.
After in times of Corona, our memories get fried pretty quick.
Oh, actually, my memory was fried already, so this I can just blame it on Corona, but
exactly.
But I remember walking around the sculpture garden, and the music was playing, and people were going to the tent, and I thought, oh, I'm so glad I don't have to go sit in the tent right now, and I can just walk away. And I guess you guys were setting up over by the after party cocktail hour, and God, that place is so magical.
It's incredible.
Yeah. And but that was like a really hot, sweaty night out here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was the heat wave. That was crazy.
Everybody was drenched, and that's why I was really happy not to have to go sit in the tent, because I don't know what they were going to do for ventilation.
No, that was crazy. I remember leaving upstate and it was 85 and I never used my AC, and I drove all the way there with the AC on. Mm-hmm. Opened the door and it was 105. I was like, what? I've lived in the tropics, I've lived in the Middle East, and I know my heat, and that was crazy. That was crazy.
I forgot that. Like, you grew up in the Philippines, is that right?
Yeah, Philippines and then Iran, but mostly the Philippines as a child.
Wow.
Great. It was wonderful. It truly was.
And so you have this whole other like world perspective. I mean, do you have friends right now that you're in touch with in Iran or in the Philippines?
Yeah. Yeah, the international school in the Philippines, thanks to Facebook, there's a friend group of 250 people from those years. My high school in Maryland that I went to, I mean, everyone, they're connected to groups in all these places. The Iran friends. It's pretty amazing. I mean, as much as I want to choke sometimes on Facebook these days, when it's used as a aggregator of people that have a common dialogue, it's great, especially if it's a human social connection thing, a bona fide human social connection thing.
Well, plus, I think you post really interesting stuff. Like you find articles that I'm not seeing in my other like feeds and stuff. So your commentary is thoughtful. Your posts are thoughtful. Like you're a good Facebook user.
I set the bar pretty high for myself.
You're no troll.
Yeah. I rant. Sometimes I rant, and when I do, forgive me, but sometimes I have to. So
yeah. That's funny. So have you spoken to anyone, like, are they dealing with the virus in Iran right now and in the Philippines right now?
Philippines, it's being handled in a particular Duterte way. They're just, strong arming and telling people to stay indoors, and it's very chaotic there. It's always chaotic there politically. Iran's hit very, very hard, and they're having a really hard time. And the unfortunate part of that is that they're not being helpful to the population equally. The Baha'is are being ignored, and the Catholics are being ignored because they don't. They have a fundamentalist government, which unfortunately plays a hardball game. But Iran and Italy really, are China, Iran, Italy, and now the U.S. are really, the hot points, so.
That's funny. I haven't heard anything about Iran. I haven't heard like a peep about the Middle East in most of this, but mostly because my feed is dominated by the politics in the U.S.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny because there's constant dialogue about, everybody's got a conspiracy theory. Everyone's, quick to jump in with this fact and that fact, or what is a factoid, or maybe not a fact. And there are things like, well, Italy, why Italy? Well, Italy has fashion that's all made in China, and as far as my reading is concerned, northern Italy to Wuhan is a hotline of Chinese people go to Italy to work, and there is a commercial connectivity that's very intense due to the fashion. And all it takes is, one significant vector of transmission, and then all of a sudden, you have a perfect storm with, like there you have old people, and, most of the people that pass they have, they're ill already, they have comorbidities and things like that. So there's so many layers to what makes this flash, and most of it's not conspiracy based, I think the only conspiracy we're going to find as unwinds is not a conspiracy, but just the cover-up, how deleterious cover-ups are and what damage they cause. So,
yeah. Well, and actually I was speaking with my ex-husband this morning in Moscow, and we were talking about the kind of follow-on possibilities, like literally down to implanting chips in people, and how is this going to affect travel going forward, especially international travel? Like, are we going to get to the place where you have to have your temperature taken before you get on an airplane?
Which is weird because so many people are asymptomatic, so that's not going to solve anything. And so there you
well, but you could make the argument. What I'm saying is, if you are the person in control of these things, you could make that argument. Yeah. It's more of a giving up of personal power.
Correct.
Because what I think's happening in the bigger picture sense of the world is that we are learning about our personal power. We're each individually learning how we are strong. Mm-hmm. And governments don't necessarily want us to be strong.
No.
So there's a couple things going on, I think, at the same time.
Yeah.
We're supposed to give up what? Okay, so we're giving up the freedom. We're going to say yes to martial law pretty soon, because that's working in other places. So of course they'll want that in New York, and we'll say yes because it's for our safety. And then what? Like, and then what? Does the election get canceled? Do we say yes to, let's take my temperature before I get on an airplane? Only healthy people can travel. Like, there could be a lot of unnecessary
Yeah, but I
restrictions.
for in times of crisis, people command your power, and when people command your power, the population, I think 40% of the population is only too happy to agree to that grab.
Mhm.
But there is a very large sector of the population that is not keen on that grab. And the question, I think, is really, do we have enough structure in place that can fight and push back appropriately? I think the compromising the Justice Department is a real problem. And I mean, you see it. It's just the classic situation. It's like, blame the immigrants, then blame the media, then take over, the Justice Department. It's pretty law conformable. And the question is, do we have structures in place that are enduring enough to push back on this,
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this will be over in 4 weeks, let's hope, in 3 weeks, maybe, in 6 weeks, definitely, or 8 weeks. But we still have the structural problems that cause our susceptibility to a pandemic, and they weren't in place. I mean, we did have these systems in place better than the previous pandemics, although each pandemic, Ebola is transmitted totally differently than this one is transmitted. So you have all those factors: transmission methodology, susceptibility of population density. I don't know. Hold on, it's a wild time coming. So,
And like I keep calling it the roller coaster, because there's days you're like, woo, and then there's
yeah,
other days you're down at the bottom going, this is not fun.
yeah,
Like I've had my own sort of personal roller coaster that was interesting, and I'm starting to feel the creativity in it, and the
yeah,
enjoyment of that. Well, if this is my life, I can still enjoy this is my life, whatever it looks like for me,
right.
and not have to take on the responsibility of every person around me, because that's where I started. I started with like, oh my God, how can I help? What can I do? And sometimes you can't do much other than, be responsible, take responsibility for yourself, take responsibility for as many people around you as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of people, that just means just stay home. Don't do anything.
Well, and the rediscovery of solitude, I think, is a very powerful thing. It starts off uncomfortable, and then it becomes pleasurable, and then it almost becomes an identity. I've just discovered when the roar was on and life was just flying at me as fast as it could, I found the hardest time to just go inside and find out who I was. And oddly enough, there's a lot. I have more time to meditate, but less need to meditate. I have more time to be alone and ponder, but less need to, because it's just flowing really nicely now. And I'm kind of looking over my shoulder going, when's the brick going to hit me? I don't want the brick to hit me again. Financially and business-wise, I don't know where we're going with this. We've shut down under orders. So that's a whole nother question. What's going to happen to our financial system? And watch that as it turns into a cluster.
Right. I did that for a minute, and then I was like, really? Why? Like, why would you?
Yeah.
Why go there? Because there's no answer.
No.
There's no big, there's no macro answer. There's no micro answer. So all you've got is right now. And
yeah, but interestingly enough, I look at the Amex bill, and then I call Amex and I go, do you really need to get paid this month? And they go, no, we're, we're giving everybody a 30-day grace period, or this particular one or that particular one. And, no one's paying their bills. So if no one's paying their bills, then the question is, are we obligated to pay on time? And 30, 60, 90-day graces are being given across the board, and that's a wonderful thing. But then what happens when, like in my discussion with a friend of mine in New York, this is not a recession. This is a dead stop, to a degree, it's a dead stop. Let's watch how this works. I don't have any answers. I'm just watching.
Yeah, no, it's funny. That was originally why I wanted to speak to Stuart, because he's a banker in Moscow, and I was like, come on, you're a crisis banker. Tell me the answer. And so what he told me this morning is that they don't have any answers.
At least they're honest. At least they're honest.
I mean, he's talking to global groups of banking, like the entire EU and Russia, British trade, and a bunch of other things. And I mean, they're taking old structures and trying to come up with what to do in the new reality, when the reality is that they probably have to change, like, just goodbye old structure. I don't know if it's going to keep working.
Well, and there's no models. This is, an unprecedented set of circumstances at a global level, micro, macro, everything, domestic, international, economic, social, biological.
Right. And some of us, like Zara and I, we're happy because, I mean, I was always alone in my office. Like I call myself an ambivert. So I'm a little bit extrovert, a little bit introvert. I'm perfectly happy all winter sitting here by myself, not much going on. Occasional trip to do a shoot, to, see some people, do some stuff. And then it's just me inside alone. The only difference is my grocery store looks like a bomb went off in there. And
Yeah. And boy, do we cook a lot here now. I mean, I can't tell you, I've cooked more in the last 72 hours than I have in the last 72 days almost, I think. So
wow.
I'm just cooking to have fun, Like, well,
are you eating healthier?
Oh yeah, totally. Instead of just jamming out a quick something, I made couscous with merguez and chicken, and I'm just cooking up a storm over here. And then there's it's like me and a 10-year-old, like, here, I hope you like this, because I'm not eating, kid food right now. I'm eating grown-up food. So wow. I must confess, my battery is
dying.
It's somewhere down at 10%. So if I disappear, it's not that I canned the call. It's just I don't even know how to check the battery while we're talking. But I should be okay for a bit still. I'm in red though.
Who knows, right?
I know that room you're calling me from too. I think isn't that the?
Oh yes, yeah. I
sleep in that room.
Sorry, yeah, you did sleep up here. So this is Alex's room. I've taken over half of it. I'm all kind of wired up here, so I can't rotate this at the moment, but sort of I can. Hold on.
There it is.
It's a bit of a mess, but
I love it.
The bed's over there. We got rid of the king size bed and took it down to a queen, mostly because Mom wanted a bigger office.
Well, check this out. This is can you see it?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I don't feel so bad now.
Zara put up a tent, or I put up a tent.
Oh, it's a tent. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's Daddy. I want a tent to sleep in at night, which is not. So Zara Fort stay out. Zara's Fort stay out.
Oh my gosh. Well, it needs a sign. Although
dog sleeping.
Who else is going to come in, right?
So
here's the part of me that wants to be organized. This is like
I love it.
Fantasy.
Totally.
But the truth is more like here, pile of papers.
Oh yeah. I got that.
So I go with the pretty backdrop because the photographer in me can't help it. So it must always be pretty.
Well, I love your house. I think your house is really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a good place to be staying, and we're so grateful to have multiple rooms. Sydney is speaking with a lot of people in Brazil right now, and so he's always yelling into the phone in Portuguese. And I have to say, some of the funniest stuff I've seen online is coming out of Brazil at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just
And
super
just
like, funny stories, funny jokes. He has a whole network of people supplying him with good stuff.
did you see my "Just Do It" meme?
No, what was that?
It was the Nike thing, and instead of running shoes, it's fuzzy slippers. Just do it, and a picture of fuzzy slippers. You know, it's a huge opportunity for new memes. Thank
Oh
God.
my gosh, that's so great. Well, I'll show you one that I got from, this is my friend Karen. So this is it from France, which, let's see, can you see that?
Can't really make it out. What's it
It
say?
says Jim du Confiné, and it's a little wine bottle opener.
Oh my. Oh my.
It's a little exercise, like the corkscrew.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
we've always been in good health here in that department. So,
with the wine
although
bottle.
I can't drink that much under these circumstances. It takes one glass of wine, and I'm ready for just lie down.
Yeah.
I think when there's a lot of stress in your day, it takes a lot more alcohol to, sort of lay you out. And when you're just sitting around all day, 2 glasses of wine, I'm ready for bed,
Right. We sort of go back and forth, and Sydney keeps saying, don't get another bottle. And we go and we buy one bottle at their liquor store, which is now having like, a renaissance of they're on fire down there. And I thought it's not such a good thing to keep going in there. So we maybe
No,
need,
stock up. You're
I
supposed to
know,
stock
right?
up.
Like, when are we going to buy this case of wine? And he just keeps saying, no, I don't want to have it around.
Where I buy wine is a 30-mile drive one way. So I buy by the
30
box.
miles to the nearest bottle of wine.
It's 30 miles there and 30 miles back. So
That's crazy.
I mean, our driveway is a half-mile long. So my nearest neighbor is over a half-mile away, and the nearest town is 6 miles away. So
Wow. Do you grow other stuff besides hemp, or have you thought about switching to like lettuce or whatever?
I've historically had a vegetable garden, but and chickens and eggs and all of that. But I learned over the last few years that it's actually easier to just go buy stuff at our farmers markets. I mean, for me to keep 6 chickens alive cost me more than it cost me to go buy eggs from my neighbor. And a couple of years ago, I bought a quarter cow and a half a pig, and there's still a lot of meat in the freezer. And I feel it's responsible to sort of help other people by supporting them. I mean, I make tables, they grow food. Let me buy food, and
Right.
maybe someday you'll buy a table from me.
Actually, one of my friends suggested that I should learn, because I said that I can't keep more than a cactus alive, and they suggested perhaps I should learn to, and I was like, no. I have friends who are really good at that, and I'll let them do that, and I'll make pretty pictures or do something else. Or the other day I gave a woman a package of toilet paper, and she said, please let me give you some money. I said no, and her family owns a farm, so she said, can I give you some soup? And I said, not even that, but we have this friend who just went through chemo, could you send the soup to him?
Good one.
So I was like, pay it forward. And I do not need the toilet paper. The karma of the soup going elsewhere has to be good karma.
Absolutely.
And when I figure out what I need, I'll ask for it. But learning to grow my own veggies is probably not top of my list.
No. And it's funny because we have friends who, if I want eggs or chicken, they'll text me on Thursday morning at 7:30 and say, do you want anything today? And I can say, yeah, I need a chicken and 2 dozen eggs. And I leave money in a plastic bag on my doorknob. And then at 8:30, the money's gone and the chicken and the eggs are on the doorknob. And I mean, how would you not want to live here? I mean, my daughter's, one of the teachers from her school, they bake bread and they drop the bread off at a farm stand that's what do you call it? Honor. There's nobody there. You just go in and you write down what you took and leave the money in the coffee can, and milk, cheese, eggs, bread, pies, everything, you know.
Beautiful.
A different kind of world up here, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My friend Lise, I don't think you met her when you were here, but she does organic gardens, and she actually installs them for people. And at one point wanted to put one in my backyard because I have good sun, and she's like, it's a perfect location. I could grow there, sell other places. And I'm thinking, yeah, we should have done that. But then you wouldn't be able to come here and maintain it. So it'd be all full of like weeds and rabbits by this point.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And spring is starting and it's time to get out there and do stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It really is.
Does Zara talk to her friends by, internet?
Yeah, I got her an iPhone for Christmas. It was a big issue. But it does keep her in touch with her friends. They have a kids messenger thing now, which is good. And they FaceTime each other. And you know what? It keeps her, you got to do it, because otherwise she's coming and saying, play with me all the time. And, you know, it's great that they stay in touch with their other friends. I'm a little overwhelmed by too much TikTok, but, you know, that at least is, you know, it's sort of, you're self-producing a mini video. That's cool. I'll roll with that for a while. You know, just
we'll call it creative.
Yeah, no, it actually is, you know. And she does a lot of creative stuff, so that's good. It really is.
All right, well, I'm sure your battery's about to die. I've had so much fun today. I've forgotten to eat, which that's always a really good sign for me. That means I'm like super in my happy creative place when I forget to eat.
Yeah, and see how this sounds. You're going to play this back then and see how that music sounds. And if it's defective, you know, we could maybe redo it or something. I'll try and figure out how to get this a little more appropriately set up. So I'm hoping it sounds good. So
I'm all about shitty first drafts here, so I'm just going to keep making shitty first drafts.
I'm on that train. So there you go.
I love it. Well, thanks so much. Thank you.
Thanks,
for
Tanya.
a nice
Take
hour.
care. Stay safe, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome. You too.
Okay, bye.
Bye.